Hi everyone. This is for everyone who has ever wondered what is the best time of day to do my somatic movement practice. So, here are my thoughts. A great time to do somatic movement is when you have just woken up. So the muscles tighten up a bit overnight. If we can release them before going about our day, they will be so happy about it. Think about dogs, cats. If they've had a lie down, they always pandiculate. So they contract and release the muscles. They reset the resting level of tension and off they go about their day. We get out of the habit as humans, okay? So when you wake up in the morning or when you get up from, your chair, you've been sat at the desk for a bit, even something as small as spending a minute, less even, just doing some full body pandiculations, that would be fantastic. Even better would be get up and as soon as you can do a more sort of formal short practice. Maybe a little bit of arch and flatten. I'll put some links down below. Something to release the sides. If you're feeling like you got it in you, a little bit of back lift would set you up brilliantly for all the things you need to get done that day. Maybe some other things that you notice when you get down onto the floor. Doesn't have to take very long, right? Another great time to do practice is last thing in the day, before you go to bed. A great chance to reset all of the muscle tension that might have built up during the day, doing all of your day-to-day tasks, all of those stresses of the day, all of those habitual unintentional postures and muscle holdings that we just want to remind our nervous system how to release before we go to bed. It really does help you get a much better night's sleep when you're not holding tension in the muscles. That probably doesn't come as a surprise to anyone. It can feel a bit much. We've had a full day. It's nearly bedtime. It's so close. Bed is calling. Oh, I've got to do my somatic practice, right? Somatics practice. However, it doesn't have to be big to make a big difference. It might just be getting down on the floor, even doing it in bed if that's what you need to do. Couple of arch and flattens. Our somas, our living bodies as we experience them, might then sort of go, oh, there's a little gnarly bit here. Can you get into that? We might be able to add a couple more pandiculations. And our somas will really, really thank us for that before we get into bed. So those are sort of time of day ideas to think about. Things that might work well and bring sort of the muscle release at points where it kind of can make the most difference, right? Be the most efficient. However, we might also want to think about doing our practice in terms of its relationship to other activities that we do. Because in somatic movement, we are releasing the muscles, we're teaching them how to move, contract and release in new ways. Because we're doing that, it's not usually a good idea to do things that are too strenuous, too rushed, or too new to us straight after our somatic movement practice. If we go into something sort of full tilt and we're not yet familiar with how the muscles are moving, how our soma is able to move after doing somatics, right? Which is going to be a little bit different to before we did the somatics practice. So we come into something new, we might overdo it. We might then find ourselves in discomfort, and that is not what we want. Or we go into something quite strenuous, maybe it's a little bit stressful, maybe we're having to sort of think about it a lot, and we completely move away from our awareness of our sensations in our soma, and we may well lose the benefits that we've just gained from our somatic movement practice. It's just hard when it's something new or something very strenuous, something we're having to put a lot of effort into, it's very hard to sort of judge the sensations and what is going on and how much of the new practice we can do or can't do, so how far we can take it. And we don't want to push ourselves at that point where muscles are kind of doing something a little bit new themselves, right? Make sense? However, if you have a familiar sort of gentle practice that you've been doing for a while, it's not, weightlifting or running a marathon or something, doing a little bit of that straight after your somatic movement practice would be fantastic. For example, you might go for a sort of leisurely stroll or do some qigong or some tai chi, maybe even a gentle swim, right? Just nothing where you are really pushing yourself. And keep paying attention to your sensations. It can be really informative to do these sort of a little bit more gentle, more familiar movements after our somatics practice. We can notice how much more freely or comfortably or easily we can move. And that is going to help us embed the benefits that we've gained from our somatics practice even more. Okay, bring them into our day-to-day life. That's what we want, right? So, all of these things are helpful to take into account when you're thinking about when am I going to do my somatic movement practice. But let's be real, apart from not doing anything too strenuous straight after somatic movement, the best time to do somatics is the time that works for you. If you have a tiny window before you pick the kids up, go for it. That is the time. Maybe you've got a few minutes before the next Zoom meeting starts and you're sat in your chair at the office. That's the time. Little in-chair pandiculations, right? Maybe you attend an online somatics class at 3 p.m. in the afternoon because that's the time on offer that works for your schedule. That's the time. If you know that putting it off until last thing at night means that you likely won't do it during the day. That's the time, right? So in essence, the best time to do your practice is the time where you can do it and will do it. And that is going to be so individual for every single one of us. For me, for example, I really, really think that it's of great benefit to do a somatic movement practice when you first get up. But I am not a morning person, and the thought of doing anything formal before I've had a cup of tea is right out. I will wake up in the morning, I will have a full body pandiculation, maybe more than one, right? But anything much more than that, I am just not going to do it in the morning, no matter how beneficial it might be, right? Maybe one day. So find your times when you can do your practice, when you want to do your practice, and when you will do your practice. Check in with yourself about when during your day you need it. Try something out. See if that works for you. If it doesn't, change it. I've tried the morning practice. Didn't work for me. Okay? So the invitation is to consider what will work for you. What will you try? Be prepared to try something, it not work, try something else. So I'm just going to wish you happy moving as you experiment with the times that work for you. Go for it. See you in the next video.